Hello bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to talk to you about the Shadow and Bone Netflix adaptation. If you guys have been anywhere on the bookish internet over the last week, I'm sure you have heard people talk about this adaptation that came out. At the time of filming, it came out a little less than a week ago, but I think by the time this goes up, it will have been out for about a week. So hopefully you've had a chance to watch all, I think, 8 episodes. I happened to binge all 8 episodes in one sitting on the day it came out. I had a friend in town who's also a fan of the series, of the book series, and so we wanted to watch it together, and it was so much fun having someone sitting right next to me on the couch that I could talk to about the show, about the things that we liked and didn't like, and we could pause the show and talk about what we thought about things, and it was so much fun to have a buddy to watch it with because I don't actually know anyone in my real life that lives around here that has read the books, so I was just really lucky that I had a friend visiting who is a bookish friend who had read the books. I did do a reaction to the teaser trailer that came out a while ago. I will link that for you guys if you're interested. But then when the full trailer came out, I was really busy that week and I didn't get a chance to do a reaction to that. I'm kind of sad, but I ended up not watching the full trailer at all before watching the show. So it was kind of fun going to the show not having seen the full trailer, which I know a lot of my friends really liked the full trailer, but I think it was kind of fun that I went into the show without having watched the full trailer at all. So I think most of this video is going to be a spoilery chat, but I will give a few non-spoiler thoughts here at the beginning, and also talk a little bit about if you haven't read the books, if you should watch it, and things like that. So as you can probably tell, I really loved the show. I think they did a really great job with the adaptation. I will admit that in general, I'm not super picky about adaptations, so I do have kind of maybe lower standards than some people, but I also feel like the general reception from the bookish community has been overall positive for the show, so I don't think I'm alone in enjoying the adaptation. I haven't actually gone and watched a lot of reviews and stuff. I've just, seen people chit-chatting on Twitter and things. I thought the actors did a really good job with portraying these characters. I love the changes that they made to the storyline, and I just think that overall they made the show really accessible to people who haven't read the books. So if you haven't read the books and you're considering watching the show, honestly, I say go for it. I think for a lot of people, they're going to enjoy the show more than the books. The books, you have to remember, came out in 2015, so they do have a bit of a, 2015 YA feel, where I feel like the romance is really angsty, there's a love triangle, and it just might feel a little tropey for people who are used to reading more modern YA. And so I think that the book series could be a little hit or miss with people. I do think people tend to enjoy Six of Crows more than the original Grisha trilogy. But if you just want to dive into the show, I think that's totally fine. You could even dive into the show and then still read the Six of Crows duology afterwards, because the actual plot from the Six of Crows duology is not included in the first season of the show, which was a big question mark for a lot of us fans before they put the show out, because chronologically the Six of Crows duology happens after the end of the Grisha trilogy, so we weren't really sure how they're going to weave it together. I actually really like what they did. Basically, they made up a bit of a Six of Crows plotline, so you're getting introduced to a lot of the Six of Crows characters. You're getting to see some of the backstory stuff, but not all of the backstory stuff from the Six of Crow characters in this first season. So that was kind of cool, things that you read about having happened in the past in Six of Crows, we get to see some of that on screen. So I really like how they wove those things together, even though they kind of had to make up a whole new plot line. I think it all made sense, and I don't know, I'm kind of a sucker for it. I really enjoyed it. So if you are considering skipping the books and jumping into the show, I say go for it. I have never been one of those book lovers, bookworms who is adamant about watching or about reading the source material before you watch an adaptation. Honestly, I often prefer to do it the other way. The way I like to explain it is that I feel like if I read the books first and love them, then I watch the adaptation, I could be disappointed with the adaptation. But if I do it the other way, a lot of times I watch the adaptation and I love it, and then I read the books. I still love the books because, you know, they've made changes. You get more like in depth in the books anyways, and so I end up being able to enjoy both things. It doesn't work quite so well if it's like a thriller that I'm talking about. Like, that didn't work quite as well for Gone Girl. But for fantasy and other things like that, where like there's not like a big twist necessarily, I really do enjoy doing it backwards or whatever. So my suggestion is watch the show, and then if you want to read the books, go for it, but you might not end up liking the books as much as the show, because I just think they did a really good job with the show. Okay, so those are kind of my non-spoilery thoughts. Now I'm going to get into like my actual thoughts of the show. So if you haven't watched the show yet, you might not want to watch the rest of this video, and that is fine. Okay, so talking about the actual show. Where do I even start? So I have always been a Melina fan. When I read the trilogy back, I think in like 2015-ish, I was definitely a Melina fan. I shipped those two. I am a sucker for childhood friends to lovers romance, like always have been. I was a Gale fan when it came to Hunger Games. I just can't help it. I love friends to lovers, especially childhood friends to lovers. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of Melina in the books, but I've never understood it because I have always loved them together. I always felt like I understood where Mal was coming from. People say that he like has no personality in the books and things like that, and I don't know. I always thought that, you know, you could tell that they were just like such good friends, but their feelings were like more in the books. But I think that that was portrayed so much better on screen. And I think if you watch the adaptation and you're not a Melina fan, I don't know, that would make me sad because I think that they did such a good job and that the actors like make such a good couple on screen, and their chemistry is really good. So I was really happy with the way they presented that relationship, and like I love the way that they did the flashbacks so that you could see what their childhood was like, but it also was really seamless and flowed really well. So I just really love how they set up that relationship and showed us their history, and I could feel their feelings for each other, and that made me really happy. I also thought that the whole Alina Darkling romantic subplot made sense too, because at the point where Alina is like having those feelings towards the Darkling, I mean, she's had a lot of changes in her life, and she thinks that Mal has totally like abandoned her, and I could see why the Darkling would be attractive to her. But I also think that as soon as he showed his true colors, which that episode was so good. That episode was so good when we see like what he's really about and find out who he really is. As soon as Alina finds those things out, I feel like she immediately is no longer attracted to him, which I feel like is the case and should be the case because he's the villain. I know a lot of people ship Darklina in the books and stuff. I never really like understood that because he just seems like such a terrible person. But I think the way that they did it in the show made sense. Like, she only felt attracted to him while she thought that he was a good guy. At least that's how I interpreted it in the show. The Six of Crows characters, I loved them. Jesper is freaking hilarious. He was cracking me up through the whole season. I loved him. Obviously, the goat. Everyone's been talking about the goat. Ah, it was so funny. He loved that goat, and I love how they tied in the goat to helping Mal escape with the bullet that Jesper gave him. So that was like a really cool, like, coming full circle thing. I think the actor they picked for Kaz was perfect. His cheekbones, man, he's got some like really sharp cheekbones, but he just like looks so grumpy and mad all the time, which is exactly how I imagine Kaz to be. There's so much tension between Kaz and Inej. And that is one thing that I think if you haven't read the books that you would be like, you wouldn't maybe pick up on or just like not really understand that. But as someone who knows kind of like both of their histories and what they're like in the Six Approach duology. Like, that was really cool to see on screen. We didn't get their backstories in season 1, so I'm excited to see their backstories in later seasons because I'm positive we will get them. And then Nina and Matthias, their little on-screen relationship development was so cute. The way they were flirting with each other. That moment where they're like walking on the ice and Nina falls through, or like the ice like breaks apart and Matthias like grabs her, and like in that moment you're like, oh my god, he could totally just like let her go and be done with it, but then he like pulls her up. I loved that moment. And then the moment when she turned him in, we knew, like, we could understand why she did that, but it was still really hard to watch. And for him at the end of the season to be upset with her for betraying him and like not trust her anymore, it all made so much sense, and I really loved all of that. Oh, the other thing I want to talk about is Leigh Bardugo's cameo. I did not know she was gonna have a cameo. Like, we were watching and then I was like, wait a minute, was that Leigh Bardugo? And my friend and I, we paused it and we rewatched it like 3 times. It was just so cool to see and recognize Leigh Bardugo in the show when I wasn't expecting it. And when she gives Alina that hug, she just like looks like the proudest mama ever. And it made me so happy for Leigh Bardugo. I can't imagine what it's gotta feel like for her books to be on screen like this, and then to actually be like so involved in the production and to be able to like be in it. I think it's just so cool. That moment gave me goosebumps. I love that she had a little cameo in the show. It was such a great moment. Let's see, what else did I love about the show? Because basically I just loved it. I thought the way that they did the magic was really good. Like, it was a good representation of it. And they kept mentioning that it's like science and not magic, which is one of the things that I love about the Grisha world, is that it's kind of like a science-based magic. I thought the Shadowfold looked really cool. The monsters, I'm totally blanking on the name of the monsters, but the flying things that are in the Shadowfold I thought looked really, like, basically all the special effects and stuff, I thought they did a really good job with. You know, with fantasy, a lot of times things can come off as like a little cheesy or a little, just they don't look realistic. Which is weird to say because obviously it's not realistic. But I thought the magic and the visual effects were done really well. I also thought the music was done really well. It matched all of the scenes, and just like the way they did the reveals for the world building and the magic system and the characters, which I'm specifically thinking of the reveals that they did for the Darkling. Just like that episode, maybe it was like across 2 episodes. Like, within an episode or 2, you have the Darkling confronting Mal and asking what Alina's favorite flower is, and then like giving her those flowers that night. Oh, that made me so mad. I was like, ooh, that makes me so angry for like, he just used Mal. And that's where you first kind of start to like see the icky side of the Darkling. And then you have Bagra, who is telling Alina like, he's not who you think he is. He is the one that created the fold, and you like hear from her point of view all of that, and Alina has to run away. And then you also have, and this is where I don't remember if it was the same episode or the next one, but you also have the part where we get a flashback to the Darkling when he was trying to save like his lover and stuff. So then you kind of like feel a little bit bad for him, but also like he's still a terrible person. So all of those reveals I thought were done really well. And I just like tried to imagine watching all of that and not having already known all of those things, and like how surprised and shocked I would be. I thought they did a good job. I really wish I could have watched the show with fresh eyes, like not knowing any of those things, because I am curious what I would have thought of the show. Like, would I like it just as much? I think I would have. I think I do enjoy it more because I know what's going on, but I think even if I didn't know what was going on, I would understand what was happening and still really enjoy it, I think. Anyways, I've been talking for quite a while, and I think those are most of my thoughts that I wanted to share about the series. I mean, basically, I had so much fun at binging the series in one day. That's not something I typically do with shows. I usually max out at like 3 or 4 episodes in one sitting, but because my friend was in town and we wanted to like watch it before we really got spoiled for anything online. So we just watched it all in one go, and it was just such a fun experience. Like I said, it was definitely better because I had a friend with me who actually, this friend had read the series more recently than I had, because there was a lot of things that I didn't remember, or like I kept asking her like, wait, was this the same in the books or was that different? Like I didn't remember Alina being part shoe in the books. It's because she's not. But I didn't mind that added layer of adding in like the whole race thing with the shoes. I mean, they didn't really explain it very well, but I think that it will be explained later, like why there is racism against the shoes. I've seen a little bit of discourse about that, but I don't know. I didn't mind it. I thought it added like an interesting layer to Mal and Alina. But basically what I'm trying to say is it was really nice having a friend on the couch with me who had read the books more recently that I could like ask about what was different and the same from the books, because I read them like 6 years ago and I definitely didn't remember a lot of the details as far as like what things were different, because they definitely changed a lot of things. But like I said, I didn't mind any of the changes that they made. I thought the show was fantastic. Okay, now I have really talked enough about the show. Let me know down in the comment section what you thought of the show. Have you watched it yet? Have you read the books? Did you like the show? Whether or not you read the books? Like, whatever you want to tell me about your thoughts about the show, let me know down in the comment section, because I am so curious what everybody else thinks. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. That is all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye.